Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Sheila Mila coming to you with another review of Beyond the Gates episode 26. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. On the road to 7,000 subscribers, 100 likes every single episode. So please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe if you get anything out of my commentary. We are going to get into Beyond the Gates. Okay. So the episode does pick up where it left off, where they were kissing, and Bill finally realized he was kissing someone other than Haley, and he pushed Danny back like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He blamed everything on Danny. And I'm like, "Bill, you was kissing too. She wasn't kissing herself." So while Bill is over there acting like he just wasn't kissing, his ex-wife, his new wife, Haley, comes in and she's looking for her husband. And she's just like, "Where is Bill?" And she's pressing the assistant. The assistant doesn't want to give too much information, but she ends up saying that, he went over to Danny's house. Haley doesn't understand why he went over to Haley's house. Haley doesn't understand why he went over to Danny's house. And because if it was anything that had to do with a divorce, then they could talk over the phone. But the assistant is just like, Bill has to put on his charm, and maybe he couldn't get what he needed over the phone through a divorce lawyer. He had to get it person to person. Now, don't speculate. Don't do anything like, it's 30 years. It's probably some stuff that, that just surfaced or whatever. But Haley still has her concerns. So back over to Bill and Danny. Bill is now starting to get all egregious. Like, you kissed me, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. And Danny's whole comeback is, but you came over here with drinking drinks and making it seem like, we going down memory lane talking about the kids and all of this other stuff. And you acting like you didn't enjoy it. Don't do that. And he is still giving pushback. "I am married. Do you not see this medal on my finger?" All this other stuff. And so Danny is like, "Well, if you didn't come over here, I know you just didn't come over here to talk about this Rehoboth, the house or whatever. Why are you really here?" So that's when Bill says, "Well, I'm here because I need you to tell the people at the country club to lay off of Haley." And she was like, "What? You coming over here in defense of your child bride? Like, what in your midlife crisis is really even drawing you to this girl?" And he's making it seem like they are on the same level. He's her soulmate, this, that, and that. And she's just like, "Y'all, come on. Y'all are not the same in brains, intellect, or anything. And if you're going to deduce yourself to her level, then you're not the mighty Bill that you say that you are," or whatever. But they have this whole back and forth. And then she goes into the thing about how she stopped everything. Everything was your game. Everything was your plan. She stopped her life. She gave you the kids. She gave you all the life. They're bounded by blood. Eventually, you were going to come back around when you saw that you wasn't getting what you was getting over there. But he says he's got everything and more with Haley. The whole back and forth. So then that's when Danny is just like, "You know what? Since you came over here for whatever you came over here for, here's the deed and whatever." So she just kind of gets mad. They have a little bit more of an exchange and he just go ahead and leave. But I'm like, "Bill, you did feel the warm and fuzzies. So let's not make it seem like you don't have any residual feelings for your wife. Well, for your ex-wife. So don't make it seem as if you're just completely done, clocked out emotionally when it comes to Danny, because we all know that's not true." All right, so now we finally have the dinner with Andre, Ashley, and Derek. And like he does, he comes over with flowers and he comes over with this wine and beer. And originally, Derek was trying to figure out how Andre and he would bond. So I guess they're going to bond over different wines and spirits and beers and things like that, because they had a whole little monologue about one of the, and really it was all like ad placement, you know. But anyway, so then they end up talking, and they talk about bocce ball and all this other stuff. And then Andre comes to look at them and how they are in sync with each other. And he says, you know what, Derek, why don't you be on the documentary with Ashley? Like, that'll be a good look. And, they eventually say, okay. And then this when Andre gets like this phone call that I need to exit phone call. And so he ends up leaving because he needed to check on his boo thing. And now all of a sudden, Ashley wants to find Andre, uh, I guess a girlfriend. So now they can all have double dates. And I'm just like, girl, that is not your place. You're just trying to do that because you're trying to push your feelings aside that you actually have for Andre. And now you're going to try to find him a date or someone that he can go out with to make yourself even more jealous. Because before he was coming over to that house, child, you was trying to make sure you was looking good, smelling good, and making sure your house was right. Because you felt like it was almost your first date with Andre. But it was a triple, but it was a a triangular date. Anyway, so now after Jacob has been complaining about Marcel, he looks up and actually sees Marcel and Joey making a transaction in the open area. I'm like, what? So nobody does anything in private anymore. So we're in an open space. And he said that he was pulling up to the precinct. So he's outside of the precinct giving envelopes. I guess. Anyway. So now back over at the little dinner with Naomi. She ends up, the grands end up running into their granddaughter Naomi. And they end up having, I guess, dinner there. And they're talking about the whole lawsuit and all this other stuff. And at first, it seems as if, when she was when Naomi was originally talking to her grandmother, the grandmother encouraged her to follow through with the lawsuit. Now it seems as if they are trying to tell her they didn't tell her not to do the lawsuit because it's her choice. But it's almost if they have this reservedness to it, like pursue it, but don't make Bill mad, because you know how Bill can get when he's threatened. He can fight back. Like it's almost as if we're poking this bear, and then this bear is just going to unleash his wrath on their family. Now we know that the grands are trying to protect their grandson Martin. And we know that. But at the same time, why are we walking on eggshells when it comes to Bill? Like, we don't have any dirt on Bill. Like, nobody has any dirt on Bill. Has Bill just kept his hands clean this whole time while he collects dirt on everybody else? That really confuses me, because I always think like these are the mighty Duprees. Like, this whole soap opera is based on the Duprees and their mightiness. And you would think that the Grands would be more aggressive when it came to their family, or if somebody was threatening their family. Like, you would think that they would have like all of these different tools that they can pull out to I guess to move things in their favor, especially when it comes to people like Bill. I didn't think that Bill was just the main man that could destroy everybody. I didn't think that Bill was that person, but they make it seem as if he's that person, as if the Duprees don't have as much or not more power than Bill has. That's the part that's kind of weary with me when it comes to this show. So now Jacob comes in and he talks to his father, and he's just like, yeah, I just seen Marcel out there, doing an open exchange with Joey and doing an open exchange with Joey. And so the father says, well, Joey is working for us. We're trying to protect Joey from a bad person. I guess he's like CI or something to that effect. So he's on our side because we're trying to catch a bigger person. But I'm like, what does the money have to do with it? But apparently Jacob is starting to believe. I don't want to say he believes it, but he's starting to I guess believe it. Not believe it, but kind of yield more to what they're saying when it comes to Joey. Like, don't put too much pressure on it, because there is something else that's going on that's bigger than you and I when it comes to this whole, police department. So, and it's making Jacob have second thoughts about his feelings toward Joey. That's what it is. So now Haley, well, Bill comes in and he sees Haley and he gets shocked. He looks like a boy that just put his hand in a cookie jar and the mother saw him and he got scared. That's what it looks like. He was doing something he didn't have no business doing. And Haley kind of clocks it. She's just like, what are you doing? You look like, almost like you're disheveled. You look like, uncomfortable or whatever. She didn't say that word, but that's adjacent to what she was saying. And he was just like, yeah, he went over to see Danny, and they talked and they about the house and all that other stuff. And Haley, she was upset about it. Like, why are you going over there? You just the whole back and forth about that. And he makes it seem as if the only reason why he went there was to talk about the whole house situation. But then he says he went over there because, to tell her to tell the people to back off of Haley. And then Haley gets upset and she's just like, I can't believe that you went over there and you did that. I told you don't do this. I told you don't do that. The whole back and forth about that. So that phone call that Andre had, it was actually Danny on the phone. And you know how they do. And it looks like they're dressed alike because he has on the leather shirt and she got on the leather dress. I said, okay. So now y'all starting to be in sync with one another. But anyway, they becomes each other's distraction. And as the chief of police is now talking to Marcel, he's telling Marcel, like, come on now, you about to blow this whole thing. And if you get caught doing this, then that's your badge. Like, you're not going to work here no more. And then you're going to be looked at like almost like a dishonorable discharge. Like, you got fired from a job that you were about to retire from, and now you got fired in a bad way. And so he was telling him, like, hey, you got to be more discreet, because now Jacob saw you making that transaction. And so while they're talking, Jacob sees them talking about the transaction that just happened. So now Jacob is looking like, this doesn't look good at all. He knows something is going up, and he knows something is going up to the point to where when he sees Naomi, he was like, look, now they telling me one thing, but I'm seeing another. Am I tripping? No, you're not tripping. It's exactly what you see, Jacob. It's exactly what you see. And now Naomi's whole thing is the Grands were trying to deter her from pretty much doing this lawsuit. I don't want to say deter her, but they were just trying to make it, telling her don't go so hard on Bill because it could make something else blow up. And now Naomi is like, she's going to go at Bill full force. When I tell you that Naomi is just like her daddy, that's what she is. She's just like her daddy. You tell her no, she gonna say yeah. You tell her yes, she gonna say no. Whatever you want from her, just do it the opposite. Whatever you need from her, just say it the opposite. That way you will get it. So now, Bill finally just admits he doesn't admit anything, but he's just like, he's sorry from going over there. He told Danny once and for all that it's just you. I mean, no, he told Danny once and for all, I'm with Haley. That's my wife. This is where I'm going to be. And there were tears and tears and tears. It was a lot of tears. And Danny finally saw the light, saying, okay, well, Bill just landed on thick. And Haley is taking it in. And he talked about the house and got the deed to the house. And he was going to take the proceeds and buy them another house or whatever. And Haley heard that. And now she forgives Bill for whatever he did. Cool. So after she forgives Bill, they go home and they warm up their dinner. And here you have Danny and Andre in the bed together while they are, I guess, deflecting from their personal lives. So yeah, y'all, this is Sheila Bila. Please don't hesitate to like, comment,